Hey 49er fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome into Chat Sports, and today we're going to go ahead and answer all of your guys' mailbag questions as submitted on a previous video just a couple of days ago using the hashtag 49ers. So without further ado, a lot of questions. Let's go ahead and get into it. Neil asks here, can Jalen Hurd become comeback player of the year? I guess technically, although I think comeback player of the year is for a guy who's actually played in the National Football League for at least a year, and I guess Jalen Hurd technically was in the National Football League last year, but of course got injured because he was not able to play at all for the 49ers in 2019 due to that back injury. He will be healthy and good to go, and the hope is that he's going to be a big part of the 49er depth chart, so sure, if he balls out, I guess technically he could. The problem is the current betting odds according to Vegas for comeback player of the year don't have Jalen Hurd on the list at all. They have a lot of other names that make more sense. Rob Gronkowski is number 1. Big Ben Roethlisberger, number 2. Matt Stafford is 3. J.J. Watt is 4. And A.J. Green is 5. You also have Derwin James, Alex Smith, Nick Foles. Like, there are a lot of actual stars in the National Football League who did have big injuries last year who have a much better shot at winning comeback player of the year. So, I guess he technically could, but I just don't see a chance of this happening at all. I think one of these guys probably will actually get it. It'll be Gronk. Big Ben will probably be healthy. He's probably my pick on this list. Matt Stafford, if he's healthy, could be pretty good there in Detroit. We'll have to wait and see. But, technically yes, but most likely not because there are other players on that list. Bigger impact in 2020, because I think this matters in terms of what you're talking about with Jalen Hurd. It matters who has a bigger impact between him and Brandon Aiyuk, because they'll be trying to, take their spot and share playing time there at wide receiver. So I think it'll be Brandon Aiyuk, type A down below for Aiyuk, type H down below for Jalen Hurd. All right, moving on. More questions here. Let's see. Rob's Random Records asks, will Kyle Juszczyk get more or less yards this season than last season? Bonus, will the 49ers whoop the Raiders in the preseason? Little jab there, I think, at our Raiders Report host, Mitchell Renz. Let's start with the first question. Will he have more or less yards than he did last season? So Juszczyk last season had very few carries. He had 7 total rushing yards on 3 carries. Did most of his damage, obviously, blocking and receiving the football. 20 catches for 239 yards. So is he going to have more than 7 yards of rushing? Sure. It's more of how many receiving yards will he have. It'll probably be close to the same. He's there for blocking. He's there to create holes for Mostert and the running back. So, sure, probably right around 200 receiving yards is where I would put him. But it's not going to go down or up depending on what the 49ers have right now. Your other question, of course, is the preseason. Will we whoop the Raiders in the preseason? I guess. Sure, does the preseason matter? Now, there's talks of a shortened preseason. Right now, if we did play 4 preseason games, it'd be Denver, Oakland, the Bears, and the Chargers. So 3 of the 4 NFC or AFC West teams, and then, of course, the NFC North team there with the Chicago Bears. So, yes, I think they will beat the Raiders in the preseason. But again, doesn't matter. All that matters, of course, is what happens in the regular season. Okay, like this video, because we mentioned Kyle Juszczyk. Don't mention him a lot, yet he's a big part of the 49ers, really the 49ers running attack. Like this video, give me a like to show some love for Kyle Juszczyk. Just drop a like down below to show some love for Kyle Juszczyk, because Lord knows he's very important despite the fact the numbers aren't as big as other stars in the National Football League. All right, so we are still doing the Stronger Together t-shirt campaign because COVID-19 is still going on, and the COVID-19 Relief Fund is still going on as well, which, of course, was what all of the money for these t-shirts goes to at chatsports.com/sfstrong. They're all on sale right now, and they have hoodies available as well. So all you got to do, go to the link down below. You see it below me right now as well. It's in the description box. It's all there for you, and pick up one of these SF Strong t-shirts, which you can get in men's and women's in different colors, and in the hoodie version as well, and all proceeds, benefit the COVID-19 Relief Fund. What would you say is the 49ers' worst case record scenario and their best case record scenario? Okay, so we're going to be rolling through, of course, the 49ers 2020 schedule. So you'll be seeing the full schedule. We broke this down also. If you want to see my full record prediction game by game, it's a video here on this channel. Just check that out after the video. Their hardest games are Seattle twice. You got the Packers, the Saints, the Bills, and the Eagles. Just record-wise, those are their toughest opponents, although we know the Cardinals are going to be good this year. The Rams are going to be, a decent team this year. So it's a pretty tough schedule. So I think best case scenario is 11-5. That has been my record prediction. I think worst case scenario, you could have some injuries and win 8 or 9 games. There's no way this team will win less than 7 games. How about that? There's no way they win less than 7 games. So I think worst case scenario would be 8-8. I think best case scenario is 11-5 just because of how tough the schedule is and how good the rest of the NFC is. And 11-5 will win the division and get you probably a first round bye, maybe the 3rd overall seed. I have them as a 2nd seed right now in my prediction, but that's my best and worst case scenario. Give me your record predictions down below right now. Compare that to mine. 11-5. Again, you saw the schedule scrolling by. You can watch my video previously. Give me your record predictions by scrolling down. I just don't see a 13-win season. I just don't see it on this schedule. But like I said, it's just not a 7-win season. So you got to go back and forth here, find a happy medium. That's where I think 11 wins is kind of the sweet spot right now for the 49ers. Okay, Sean asked, I think that KIttle getting nearly $20 million per year will lead the 49ers to having valuable players become cap casualties. Yes, I mean, I really do. This is what happens whenever you have too many good players on a team who want too much money. It's a problem, of course, Seattle had back in the days of the Legion of Boom. It's the problem that, I mean, the Patriots try to avoid every single year. It's why they trade a bunch of players before you got to pay them. Paying George Kittle $20 million a year, which is the reported asking price right now from Kittle and his agent, is ridiculous, and it's a lot, and it's too much. I've talked about this at length here. I wouldn't give him more than $15 million a year because he is a tight end despite being the best one in the National Football League. Here's the problem, and this goes back to Sean's question. Here are your top free agents in 2021 who you might not have enough money to re-sign. Your left tackle that you just traded for, Trent Williams, he needs a new contract. Richard Sherman will need his final contract because he wants to play till he's 35. We talked about Kyle Juszczyk earlier. You're going to re-sign him? What about Jaquiski Tartt? Will he be the starting safety? What about Tevin Coleman? There are other ones too. Kendrick Bourne, K'Wan Williams, Emmanuel Mosley. There are a lot of free agents from the 49ers this year. If you start shilling out all this money to different players, sure, you can make it work, and I'm sure they could technically sign him to a $20 million deal and make it all work in the end. But there are eventual contracts upcoming as well, like a Javon Kinlaw, like a Raheem Mostert, like a Deebo Samuel. There are like a Nick Bosa who are going to need big-time money, and giving that much money, $20 million a year, to a tight end who's great, but still a tight end in a league that is not a tight end-focused league. There's not a team in the National Football League where you would go, oh yeah, their offense runs through their tight end. Now, they're great tight ends, but running through a tight end is just not a thing in the NFL. They're great additions, but $20 million a year is too much for me to swallow. I would go ahead and not pay him anything more than $15 million a year because that's still $5 million more. We say it again, $5 million more. The highest paid tight end in the National Football League, the Chargers, Hunter Henry. Okay, we are almost at 25K, and I'm going to keep asking until we get to 25K, and I'll probably keep asking after that, but we're almost at 25,000 subscribers here on the 49ers Report, so if you're not subscribed yet, go ahead, scroll down, and click the red subscribe button. We would greatly appreciate that. Let's see here. Game Type 771 asked, who will have a better rookie season, Brandon Aiyuk or Jalen Reagor? Okay, Reagor was a 21st overall pick for the Eagles out of TCU, and of course Aiyuk was 25 overall. I mean, it's just it's a toss-up here because both receiving cores in Philadelphia don't really have a superstar. You got Deebo Samuel, you got Deshaun Jackson. It's hard to go ahead and pick who's going to have a better season. I think they're both going to have very comparable years, but they're very different players in terms of size. Aiyuk is taller, Reagor's smaller. Reagor might be a little more explosive. Aiyuk might be faster. Like, there's back and forth on both of them. Reagor was picked earlier, so you figure Philadelphia had a chance at Aiyuk, and they went with Reagor in the end. I don't know. Hopefully it's Brandon Aiyuk. I think all 49er fans hope it's Brandon Aiyuk, but I think both are going to be good for their respective teams. So I really would not worry about that overall in terms of who will be better. But we'll go ahead and go with Brandon Aiyuk. Let's see. We got time for one more here. Tyler Cripps asks here, any possibilities of cornerback Sherman moving to safety position? What would have to happen? He has to make the call. I mean, it's up to Richard Sherman to go ahead and move to safety, and then, of course, he has to prove he can play well at safety. Sherman was asked about this. I Googled, because I knew that Sherman was asked about this, like, years ago, and he actually found the quote. We'll throw it up right now. Quote, at some point, everybody makes a transition to safety, and if you're smart enough to play that game, and I'll probably do that in a couple of years, or whatever the team needs. Now, Sherman has also said he wants to play until he's 35 years old, so you start doing the math, and you're like, okay, couple of years, end of your career, so the safety change would come sooner rather than later. My problem right now is that, one, the 49ers really don't need him to play safety. Jimmy Ward has got that covered. They just gave him a brand new contract. And two, you got to be able to tackle at safety. Like, it's not just coverage, it's tackling at the same time. And Sherman historically has not been a great tackler. Now, he's not had a lot of opportunities, but I would consider him to not be a great tackler. So I wouldn't understand the move unless he was willing to put in the work and could prove that he was good and even better than the other safeties on the 49er depth chart, which is kind of up in the air because it's just hard to tell if that would actually be the case. How about this? Give Sherman a contract to make it, let him play till he's 35, and let him keep playing cornerback, because guess what? He was the highest rated cornerback by Pro Football Focus in 2019 last year. So unless there's a mega drop off this year from last year to this year, I think he's going to be just fine, and so I wouldn't worry about it here in the end. There you go. All the time we have for today here on the 49ers Report. Again, trying to get a mailbag video. I had other questions, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do more questions in another mailbag video in the coming days. So if you did not get your question answered, subscribe and stay tuned, because I'm going to do another mailbag video and answer other questions here, because I'm seeing a lot more that I want to get to. So sit tight on that. But of course, stay tuned for the rest of those. If your question was answered, hope you enjoyed it. If not, hope you enjoyed the video overall. All the time we have for today here on the 49ers Report. I am your host, Thomas Mott, for Chat Sports. Signing off. Enjoy the rest of your day.